What's up, everybody? We're back. Episode 9, the End of the Bench Show. Joined here by one of my best friends, Chris Vogel. Vogel, how's it going, man? Okay.
Going all right, man. I'm not gonna lie. There's not much, you know. There's plenty to complain about.
Yep.
I don't think anybody wants to hear it though. So I'll just say I can't complain right now.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I know Kate's cousin David and you were close, so sorry for your loss. It's a tough time to go through all of that, but at the end of the day, I think you're healthy, Kate's healthy, your mom's healthy, your dad, your brothers. So at the end of the day, we find solace in that, and we have the End of the Bench show to bring us pride and joy and make us in a better mood. And
Mm-hmm.
you texted me to come on because for those loyal listeners to the show, they've heard your name quite a bit, and people aren't really nice to you on this show, folks, and I don't understand why. And I know you want to come on and defend your honor about being a Saints fan.
Yeah, I mean, let me just start off by saying I'm great. Okay, like I'm a great person. Okay, um, and I'm gonna do a little storytelling about my Saints past.
Okay,
Okay,
please do. As I don't think I've ever really heard this story, so I'm looking forward to it.
so this is actually the story kind of comes from tragedy a little bit. All right.
Okay.
So I don't know if you remember my friend Andrew Tortorisi, aka
Yeah,
Torto.
Tordo.
Used to
Good
be my
guy.
next door neighbor. Great guy. Used to live right next door to me, and there was one time where um, him and I went to his father's apartment
Yeah.
in, I believe, Melville. Um, I'm gonna take you back to 2003.
Is it near the White Castle?
Yes, a little
Perfect.
bit.
What a great location.
It's like past the Adventureland right there.
Got it. Got it. I
Past that.
actually know where that is. I know you're surprised, but I actually know where that is.
So we're over at his father's apartment, and let me also just say rest in peace to Larry Tortorisi over there, the
Of
great
course.
guy. Um, so we're over there just hanging out, and it just so happens that the Saints are playing the Jaguars.
Okay.
The Saints are down by a touchdown. 7 seconds. I want to say it's like somewhere between like 7 and 12 seconds left before the last play. And
Okay.
by touchdown, I mean 7 points, not six.
Mm-hmm.
So the Saints run a play. They're at their own like 30 or 40, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is the quarterback drops back, throws a pass. Obviously, it wasn't a Hail Mary or anything. And then they run a little schoolyard bullshit, you know,
Little
little
recess
lateral,
action.
little lateral there, and eventually they wind up scoring a touchdown with time expired.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure at the time the Saints were also looking at a playoff spot. I don't know for sure, but anyway, it's week
Yeah.
50, so it really mattered. So the
Yeah.
Saints down by
They were 7-8
yeah,
after the game.
yeah. So they were 500. I don't know what the record was. I couldn't even tell you who won the division. Probably the
Yeah.
Falcons. No, I don't
Probably
know.
the Falcons.
Probably the Falcons with Mike Vick then. Yeah. So kicker by the name of John Carney comes on, and
Yep.
mind you, this is extra points from basically the 2 yard line.
Yeah.
And this man kicks the extra point, and I don't even think he hit the net. Like one of the worst kicks I've ever seen in my entire life. Hitting everything. And I turned to Torto then, and I'm like, I am officially a fan of this team.
of the Saints.
And he was
I
like, why?
really, that's crazy.
He was like, why? And I was like, Tordo, if you know me, you know that every other team that I root for right now is terrible. So why
Yeah.
not just root for the loser? And on top of that, I'm black and gold. Um, I've always loved the city of New Orleans. To be honest, I always was
Yeah.
fascinated with culture. And once I heard about Mardi Gras and girls showing their boobs, that was really
That is real, by the way.
yeah, I believe it. Uh, so yeah, that was really jumping off point for me. And after that, I really started to. I mean, I grew up a Jets fan. Okay, let's get that out of the
Yeah.
way. I grew up a Jets fan, and yeah, I guess you could say I was a little bit of a hardcore fan. So right around like middle school, high school, I was starting to become like a little bit of a split fan.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know anybody to talk Saints with because
Because
good
there's
luck.
no one here.
Right, there was nobody here that's a Saints fan. You got two other football teams, three if you want to count the Bills,
Yeah.
and it was just I was kind of like a little closet Saints fan. I had like a couple shirts or whatever. Um, but and then Drew Brees comes around in 2006, and I loved Drew Brees' story. The guy
hmm
had a career-threatening injury, and he's going to make his comeback. So sure, why not? Love the guy.
Yeah.
Undersized quarterback, real underdog story, to be honest.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, as a current Jet fan, I think you definitely made the right decision. Although you say you like misery, the Jets would have given you far more than the Saints would have.
but at that time, Chad Pennington was quarterback.
The
Jets were
greatest
right.
Jet quarterback of my lifetime.
Right. How unfortunate was that? I would say even possibly of the entire franchise, Chad Pennington might have been the best quarterback.
So honestly, it's not a lucrative statement.
Not
Um,
a,
Not at all. It's kind of painful for me to say that, so I like to just say of my lifetime instead of
like,
the.
how do you feel that like your all-time great franchise quarterback might not even be in the top 50 conversation?
um, that one doesn't bother me as much. What bothers me more is that Tom Brady was in the same draft, so that kind of sucks. Because I think like I don't remember every quarterback in that draft because I was so little and I haven't looked back at it really, but like I think Pennington was like ended up being the second best quarterback in that draft due to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So that gives me like some peace and solace with it, but he's no Drew Brees who you're lucky enough to still root for.
hmm Yeah, that guy is he's a savior. He's guy's Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean he's literally a god in New Orleans. I was there in January. I think he has like his own restaurant. Everyone loves Drew Brees. Everyone talks about him. He really like is New Orleans and he is Louisiana too. I think he's much more involved like in the entire state than
Yeah.
he is in New Orleans, just in the city of New Orleans.
Yeah. I mean, he
You
was the
know,
Derek Jeter of the town. He's the Derek Jeter of the town. He was the Eli Manning. He's he's New Orleans like Kobe Bryant. Rest in
yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean, especially because the Saints were really like the only professional sports team there. I mean, now they have the Pelicans, um, but like Anthony Davis never really capitalized on being a superstar in a city like New Orleans. I think if he really went all out in that, um, he would never have surpassed Drew Brees. But just given the growing popularity of basketball, it would have definitely been interesting to see him like take over that city.
Yeah.
Hopefully, our boy Zion can do that. I'm sure he's eating very
Hopefully.
well while he's down there.
Oh, he's very comfortable right now. I would assume. But the Saints, and then Katrina happened, another tragic
Yeah,
event down there. And then in 2009, they win the Super Bowl, and it's just this incredible sort of comeback story.
Yeah.
They have the onside kick to start the second half, which blew everyone's mind.
Yeah.
Uh, it to me, I would say that, like, I've always been a Saints fan, to be honest, and a lot of people will just say, "Oh, you only started liking the Saints after,
Yeah.
um, after." It was really the Tebow move that kind of just like
That took you
completely
off the Jets. Yeah.
really put away from the Jets.
I mean, I feel
Uh,
like I give you shit for it, like in a joking manner. I've never been like, like disgusted with you for being a a Saints fan, like leaving the Jets, because like you've stuck with it, and I knew you didn't like just start when the Saints were good. Like I never knew this origin story, but you
mhm.
were a Saints fan since I've known you, and I
Which is
only
like,
heard from like our rest of our friends who've known you longer that you started a Jet fan. So like
mm,
I only knew you as a Saints fan, so maybe that's why I don't really like give you as much shit as like Landy, who called you out on it on his episode, and then your boy Pat. Like Pat's your best friend in the world.
yeah, man,
Fair to say, right? And
20,
he
25 years.
and he
No, no,
referred to you on episode 1 as your Duke fan buddy. Like
I
speaking
mean,
of me, and I'm like, whoa. First of all, deeply offended.
right,
Don't ever patronize Duke.
right. Especially he was probably wearing Jordans at the time too. That
Probably, probably. He snuck it in as we were talking about Space Jam, and I was like, it's like, come on, Pat, you know better than to piss me off about Duke.
right,
That's one of my, because I've been asking everyone like their favorite sport moment when they come on for the first time,
of course,
and one of my, and like, so I have to have like this list of like 75 just like ready to go because like I don't want to repeat the same one.
of course.
So on my list, which well, I'll ask you yours later, but like on my list is remember that year we went to the ACC tournament and I think it was in Brooklyn, and this camera guy who claimed he was from ESPN, he definitely was not from
Oh,
ESPN.
of course. No, no. To be honest, I saw that clip.
You've
I
told
saw
me
the
you
clip.
saw it, but I never saw it.
I think I saw it. I think it was on ESPN two, maybe, or something like that, or maybe on ESPN's website
Maybe the
or something.
Ocho.
Yeah, no, but I totally saw that clip. I'm just sitting there like a moron, and you're over there roasting Roy Williams. Like,
I don't know, man. I don't remember all the stuff I said. I know some of what I said definitely couldn't be on ESPN too. Like unless they just put it on like the internet and maybe it could be on it.
I
Because
think
I'm
it was.
pretty sure we looked in the camera and said he was a pedophile.
I I would believe that. I would I would
Which
100%.
which, for the record, I mean, you and I are very serious about it when we talk to each other. We would never publicly say that he is,
No, we are not.
we're not confirming anything.
We're
Although
not
I don't think he'll hear this episode, but whatever.
we're not accusing, but at the same time, we wouldn't be surprised.
Looks like a creepy ass grandpa.
Yeah, that's just weird.
He's either a pedophile or he's like that grandpa on Pornhub.
No, he's like the friend of the grandpa who's like sitting on the side watching. I don't think he's going to last long with an 18-year-old or whatever.
No, probably not. Probably not. But yeah, so I mean, as Duke fans, we get enough heat from everyone anyway. Um, People, especially in our friend group, they don't understand how deep our passion is for it.
Yeah, and to be honest, like I've always been a Duke fan too. It's not like I was always rooting for another college,
Ever
but
since JJ Redick, man.
yeah, but like ever since like meeting another friend and a very close friend, like you brought it out in me. You know what I'm saying?
Like you brought it out in me too.
Like and it's the same thing with the Saints. Like I know one person that's a Saints fan, but like I don't really see him all that often or anything. We'll occasionally text during games, but like to
Yeah,
have that like right hand man kind of thing that's like also the same fandom as you,
yeah,
then I really start to like you and I we try to go every time that they're at the Garden,
Yeah, the
you know,
Garden or
because
Brooklyn for sure.
for us it's a spectacle. You know, we only get so lucky because we're not from the area that the team plays.
Yeah. And I mean, we get incredibly lucky that they come to New York every year. I mean, there are a lot of people who root for, colleges outside of their state that like they'll never see live unless they go to like, a neutral site, March Madness or, conference tournament thing. Like, we get
Yeah,
pretty lucky that Duke will always be somewhere in New York City at least once a year, like every year. So, it's definitely lucky in that regard. That's Dan Kroll, who's the Saints fan, right?
correct.
Yeah, he comes to the bar sometimes.
Yeah,
A good old Newbridge, and we shouted him out last Thursday, I think, whatever day I did with Pat. And I
Newbridge Inn.
saw, yeah, and I saw he got it for dinner tonight.
I got it yesterday.
Was it like how good was it, and what did you get?
So I got my French onion steak sandwich.
Oh, with the dip too.
No, there's no real dip. Like it,
I thought that was the one they give you like the little soup dip with it.
no, that's like a roast beef dunk.
You're right. You're right.
But the French onion steak comes on Texas toast, so it's
Oh,
garlicky, it's cheesy, it's got onions. The steak is nice and seasoned and perfectly cooked.
yeah.
We got, I think, let's see, it was me, Matt, my mom, my dad, and Kate were over, so there were five of us. I think there were like 10 boxes of stuff. Just because, like, yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't had it in almost 2 months.
Was it like really crowded when you went?
No,
Oh, okay.
it was
Was
funny
it,
because we called up and that bad man Dundee was cooking.
of course, man.
His old
They gotta bring out the VIP cook.
right. So he's cooking and she writes down one of the orders and it's made. I always have it, my way. So he reads it. I could just hear him in the background. Hey, what up, Chris? I just write it down. Oh
I love
yeah, but
that.
anybody in the Merrick, Belmore, Wantagh area, they definitely need to check out the New Bridge Inn once everything's all set.
Newbridge Inn next to my hero on Jerusalem Avenue. I
Open
mean,
for delivery.
yeah, 3 to 9 takeout. Oh, they do delivery too.
Yeah, but I think like they're doing the delivery, not like Uber Eats.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you could find their number on Google. They have a Facebook. I think they have Instagram too. Help them out. Gary, the owner's. I mean, he's a terrific person. I don't think Vogel and I have ever paid full price there for like anything. So I mean, he takes care of you when you go, and those are the places we want to take care of during coronavirus. We want everyone to keep their jobs and their businesses, but the small businesses like Newbridge Inn are, they're really important to the community. And I know, like, just between our friend group, it's probably like, like other than like a baseball stadium, it's like our most sacred place.
So uh, Sunday football, look, like we've been doing Sunday football there for like 3 years, and it's gotten to the point where we don't even text each other to see who's going. It's just
No,
show up, you know.
if you show up at like 11:30, one of us will be there already, trying to save as many chairs as we can.
Yeah, and you got to get your food in early too, because if you order food around kickoff, you're not going to see it for an hour.
Yeah, I think what really sums up our love for Newbridge Inn is that in the fall we started playing softball at 8 a.m. just so we don't like miss any part of football at the inn. Like that's but I wouldn't change it for the world. It's a great place. So
Mm-hmm.
I have some jokes for you that I wanna tell you before we get into our next topic here that you want
Okay.
to talk about. Let me just try to find a good one. Da, 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 da. This is boring for all the listeners. I should probably find one now. Okay. What's what's the difference between the New York Knicks and a dollar bill?
I don't know.
You can still get 4 quarters out of a dollar bill. What do you call a New York Knicks player with a championship ring?
Retired.
A thief. Um, what is a New York Knicks fan's favorite wine? Like a complaint, not like a bottle of wine.
Everything.
We can't beat Boston.
You're just a bad guy. You're a bad guy, Scott.
So yeah, so we're gonna break down the Knicks and how they are. Well, Vogel, you tell me this is something you want to talk about. What are we gonna do right now?
Well, I mean, I've also grown up a Knicks fan, and the previous season when all those big name free agents were out there, the Kevin Durant, the Kyries, the
Yeah,
Kawhis,
yeah,
everybody was saying, "Oh, come to the Knicks. You got this iconic history here."
yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, what is there to be iconic? Like, the only time that they've won an NBA championship was before the merger with the ABA.
Yeah,
73 was the last title. Okay. And I
yeah.
did some research. Since the merger, the Knicks are 1,062. What? I'm sorry, 1,662
I was gonna say.
and 1,926. That's
So they're
their
under
record.
500.
So they have a 460 win percentage. Okay.
That's not good for if by by any chance if we have not sport fans listening, that's not good.
Right. Especially in New York. Um, During that span, the Knicks have more seasons with 50 losses than they have seasons with 50 wins. There are 14 50-loss seasons and
Mm-hmm.
9 50-loss wins. Okay. They also have more 60-loss seasons than they have 60-win seasons. That's 2-1 right there. Since the merger, they only have 2 finals appearances.
Two.
Um,
And wait, when was the merger? For those
76,
who don't know,
1976.
1976. Okay,
So
so we're talking like
the Knicks, I think, originated in like 1946, and there
yeah.
was like
So we're talking like almost 50 years then.
correct. So also since the merger, the Knicks have made 19 head coaching changes.
That's
Okay,
absurd.
they almost have as many head coaching changes as they have playoff appearances with 24. Like, and I'll make this argument all day. The Knicks are not an iconic basketball team. They play in an iconic building.
And an iconic city.
If the Knicks did not play in New York, they would be right up there with like the Phoenix Suns and the Timberwolves.
Cavs.
I mean, the Cavs have just recently won, so I'm not
Oh,
going
I mean they had LeBron James. He was a hometown kid, so
to historically, yes, the Cavs, but even the Raptors before they won their title. Uh, but like, that's those are numbers that are kind of similar to like the Cleveland Indians. Are you going to say the Indians are a iconic franchise in baseball?
probably not. Probably not.
Uh,
I
you
will
know,
say though, the Cavs are really rivaling them in like head coaching changes because
oh
like
well,
when they let Beeline go this year because they should have never hired him.
correct.
So since the 2013-2014 season, the Cavs have had 6 head coaches
I would believe that the Knicks have had probably 5 in that time.
Yeah, and the Cavs won that championship that you're talking about in that span.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
They
like
made a head coach that year from, what was it, David Blatt
David
to
Blatt to
Tyler?
Ty Lue. Yeah,
Yeah.
the fucking clown. And now Ty Lue's probably going to coach the Nets because Kyrie loves him for some reason.
Hey, man. Right now, there's, in my eyes, there's probably, I mean, I would really only say that Popovich is the best coach in the NBA right now, head coach. I
Um,
don't really see,
I mean,
like,
like if you go off of like resume, then yeah, but I think you can make a from like a scheme perspective, you could definitely make a case for like Brad Stevens of the Celtics,
sure,
Eric Spoelstra of the Heat,
right?
um, even, and this is one that when I bring up, people don't know. People are like, "What? What are you talking about?" And Nick Nurse of the Raptors, like he's been
It's a short tenure, though.
obviously only for this is his second year, I think, full time
Yeah.
coaching at the NBA level. But every like story I've heard, like Raptors players say, both like who aren't there anymore and who are still there, say like he's one of like the best tacticians that like they've ever played for, and like whatever he says is going to happen just usually happens, and that's why the Raptors are still so good even without Kawhi. The Raptors just have a full on trust of Nick Nurse, and he knows like he he just has like the immediate buy-in because he's done it at various levels, so he just knows what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's those head coaches that can have huge roster changes and still
Yeah,
maintain relevance.
yeah, and not even like really. I think the Raptors are like the third best team in the East right now.
Yeah,
So, I don't disagree with your original point. Like the Knicks brand. So this is where it gets tricky. The Knicks are not iconic, but because they are in New York City and they play in the Garden, their brand is iconic. So I think like when people refer to the Knicks in that way, I think they really just mean their brand and not like the basketball team. Like to me, those are two different things.
I'm pretty sure the Knicks are number one on Forbes' list for um like year by year almost as
Probably, I could pull it up.
like profitable franchises or whatever. And I'll say this too, the only reason that people are going to Knicks games is because it's at the Garden. I wouldn't doubt if, again, if the Knicks weren't in like a huge tourist, um, if the Knicks
Yeah.
weren't in New York, then you wouldn't be getting all. I would say that a third to maybe 50% of the fans that go to Knicks games are people on vacation,
I would agree with it.
especially
I
from
would,
outside the country, because that's if they watch the NBA in their own country, and then it's to say, hey, I got to go to the Garden. It's not I didn't go to a Knicks game.
yeah.
It's I went to the Garden, and that's the difference.
It's crazy to think about because like when you watch a Knicks game on TV, like the crowd is always like super into it, and if you're just watching on TV and you're not a New Yorker, like you wouldn't you wouldn't necessarily know that most of the people there don't even like. I mean, they know what's going on, but they're not like following the team on a day to day. They're not like really Knicks fans
Yeah,
because
no,
that place does get so loud and crazy that like I can only imagine like when they eventually get like really good again, like what that place is gonna be like because you would have to imagine then, um, more true fans, if you will show up, kind of kick those tourists out, and it'll just be like a fucking nut house in there.
and it's so crazy because like the Knicks play at the Garden, James Dolan's making a ton of money,
Yeah,
and people are still going to the games, and they could have the worst record in the NBA, and the worst seats in the house will cost $75 to $100.
Yeah, I mean, I go through it buying Ranger tickets too. Like, there's no
But
such
at least
thing as
have been decent, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
this
They've been
guy
decent, but like, I still don't want to spend $100.
to see a team lose. At least you're going to the Rangers games, and there's a decent probability that they'll win. You go to the Knicks game, and
Yeah,
you got
they're
a hope
yeah,
that the other team shooting like under 30%.
yeah. From like the Ranger fan, like yeah, there was a decent chance we were gonna win, and they were also able to sell like William Macy, Hank in goal. Who's one of the best ever at his position. Like the Knicks don't even have that. They just like say no, like you're just gonna pay for being in the Garden. It doesn't matter who's
Right?
on the floor.
People,
Like at least when they had Melo, it was different. But when they had Melo, they were good more years than not. So I guess that's kind of a tough example.
yeah, I mean, like the Knicks' last good draft pick, homegrown kind of kid. You know, you could make the argument for Porzingis, but the guy just didn't want to play here, so no. And then outside of that, it's Ewing, and that was in the '80s.
Yeah.
You know that's horrible.
I mean, Eddie Curry didn't pan out.
He wasn't a draft pick though.
What do you mean he wasn't? Oh, he didn't get drafted by the Knicks.
I'm pretty sure he was a Bull, and they traded for him.
That's embarrassing.
But like,
Yep.
and then in other years, they would trade away their first round draft picks for players who aren't really worth it.
See if I could find like a list of their draft picks in recent years.
You're gonna look at it, you're gonna laugh at it, to be honest.
That's
And
probably why I'm trying so hard to find this. To be
yeah,
honest,
I saw it on Basketball References or whatever the website is.
well, it starts
Very,
in it starts in 1947, and they're this is so funny. This isn't funny at all. But the first player they ever picked, his name was Dick.
nice.
So that
That
so
doesn't
that's
come
good.
up.
And then the third, oh my god, this is funny. And then in 1949, they seventh overall, they picked another guy named Dick.
Wow,
They
huge
just
dick.
love the dicks. Oh wow, that's funny. Yeah, okay, so they picked Kyle Guy this year.
But they gave him to
The Kings,
Sacramento. Yep.
yeah, for cash. Yeah, okay, so first round pick 2019, RJ Barrett. Um, I mean, I liked RJ at Duke. It's probably he has a pretty good potential if he could knock down like a consistent jump shot.
I think that
Tremendous
um,
motor, work ethic, but given who was left on the board, like it's hard to argue with who they picked there.
I think that RJ's potential is also so high, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's because he's a lefty, and not many people grow up knowing
Yeah,
how to guard a lefty. To be honest,
yeah, no, it
uh,
is true. I always struggled with that too. I mean, I didn't play basketball like a high level,
yeah,
but whenever I was facing a lefty, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
yeah. I mean, that's why I learned how to do a lefty layup. I realized, I'm going up on the left side with my right hand, either getting blocked or fouled, and I'll just go up with my left hand, and nobody, especially if you're right-handed, you can do a lefty layup, and nobody knows that you can do it. Like it's
Yeah,
virtually unguardable for the first couple of possessions.
I use the the Rajon Rondo method when I go up on the left side. I just go up off the wrong foot. That's what Rondo taught me. I heard that on a broadcast when I was younger, and I was like, "Wow, people have been telling me I go off the wrong foot my whole life." So I guess I have I'm a step ahead. Should have been in the NBA.
And like, what a shame that Rondo was such a dick for however many years after he left the Sixers, because I still think he's incredible as a basketball player.
as a basketball player, yeah, he can't shoot, which is like the worst part,
No, but
especially now.
he's your he's like a typical point guard. You just get
Yeah,
the ball to people who can score, and
yeah.
doing that with that freaking Celtics team, which oh my god, I I'm a
I
Knicks
mean,
fan, so I always grew up like not liking the Celtics, but I loved that big three team.
Rajon Rondo, his highlight reel is one of my favorite highlight reels to just watch.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's just he's sneaky good. He knows his vision of the court is
yeah,
he could see corner to corner. He always knows when somebody's open, and he's just one of those guys who unfortunately after the Celtics decided to ship out. Actually, I'm not going to say unfortunately because the Celtics are really looking like bandits right now after that Nets trade.
I love that trade when it happened. I obviously still love it. Um, while we're talking about Rondo, I'm gonna do something I've never done, and I'm gonna share my screen to show you my favorite pass that he's ever made
Uh, we're
as a
making we're
Celtic.
making we're making end of the bench history right here.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you see right now on my screen? I hope you don't
I
see the podcast.
I page.
The what?
I got everything that you're seeing on YouTube.
Okay, good. All right, so let's play this then.
You want to open it full screen and then press play?
I already pressed play. I already pressed play. They're gonna show a replay. So basically, this is the game. They're playing the Warriors in March. March 4th. I think I don't know if it was St. Patty's Day. It was right around St. Patty's Day. And he just jumps in the air, throws this behind the back pass to Ray Allen. You'll see it here. Boop. And then Ray Allen obviously knocks it down because he's the fucking goat. And that
Right.
was it. That's my favorite pass ever that he's ever made. But like his highlight reel, it's one of those like I'm really bored and I want something to watch, so I just go on YouTube and type in Rondo Celtics,
So
and
let's be honest. You need to watch that every night before you go to sleep. Okay. Just put it
yeah,
out there for fans right now. Don't lie to everyone.
I do watch it um, probably
You're
more
just
than I
bored
should.
very often.
Well, it's tough, man, because I gotta get the press conference in before bed, so I don't like. Sometimes there's not time for a video and a press conference, you know.
Do the people know about the press conference?
No, they don't. I don't know if they're ready for that story yet, to be honest.
I
I
don't know,
also don't
man.
like being the one to tell it because like it's kind of weird, but I mean now that I'm already saying it. So and it's like I don't actually do this as often as I told you I do, Vogel, but like I've just let it live as like a lifelong joke now.
I've still yet to see it, to be honest.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, so whenever I play a video game before I go to bed, I pretend like I'm either a player or a coach and I do like a little press conference after because talking to myself helps me fall asleep because I just usually get bored and I'm like, all right, well, it's time for bed now because I'm talking myself to sleep. I hope I don't have that effect on like the listeners and the viewers. Um, like I see I see people still watch every time I put a new one up, so I think I'm doing a good job. But I mean, we've
Hopefully
joked
they're not
about
going to fall asleep.
we've joked about me doing like a live stream and like you and John just like peppering me with questions while I play or whatever.
We also want to watch you play and do color commentary for it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe as we grow and we get some more equipment, we can make that happen.
I mean, I don't know if there's some sort of dual camera setting on this thing or whatever,
I don't
but
know. I'd have to ask my tech guy, Nick Landy. So, but he'll just be like, "What do you mean?" Like, just think that I should know it. But
right.
whatever. I don't know everything. I mean, I know it's like the weirdest thing I do. Well, one of the weirdest things I do.
Oh yeah.
Um, But like at this at this point, I'm so invested into it that it just is who I am.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
so
it's I get it. I'll be playing games and I'll be doing things and I'll be like commentating in my head as I do it, like
right. I just let it leave my head. That's the difference.
right, and you also just like do it out loud.
Yeah.
Everybody can hear you. Like I'll be like playing a game and like let's say I'm playing at the Islanders, like Barzell has the puck right now, and I'm just like,
Shocker.
oh, Barzell with the with the toe drag and oh shoots and he scores, But like I do that in my head, and then I'll do like the fist bump.
Yeah.
But like you take it to a different level.
You should try doing it out loud. It's really like quite liberating.
See, I I feel like I have a bit of a self image that I kind of have to keep my reputation up.
Nah, that's all right. What do you
Um,
mean self image? Like what? You're by yourself.
but for you, it's a good look for you. You've been doing it for a while. You know what's going on. I feel like for me, at 28 years young, I just think that I have it in my blood right now. You've been doing it for a long time. So you can basically do it. I mean, you do it in your sleep, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. In between snores, you know.
oh
Um
yeah.
did
Some
did you listen to the K show today?
No, I'm not gonna lie. Like I haven't been paying attention recently, and I don't want to sound like a critic or anything, but like I now that I'm home, I've been watching it on TV instead of like listening to it on the radio. And
Yeah.
you listen to the radio, and they sound really engaged.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then
I
I,
feel the same way as
I
you're about
watch
to
it
go.
on I watch it on TV, and they're like looking at their phones, and
Yeah.
you
Everyone
know
but Don. Don is
I,
always
I, I used
engaged.
to assume that like when Don's always engaged, but like
Yeah.
when Peter's like not talking at all, he's like on his laptop the entire time.
Yeah. K's
Like
on
I
his
used to think
phone.
that he was just like watching it. Yeah, I just that is a great show. Don't get me wrong. They've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
If I were to ever start my own sort of show or whatever like that, I would very much take things that they've done, but I don't know if I would put cameras on
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's still good. It's like now with no sports, it's so um their show is like so regimented. You know, like
right.
they'll have some
It's
banter.
just
They'll have Don's list at 4:30, last one standing, which is terrible at 4:50 or whatever. You
mm,
know, Tales from the Crib, which is well, I usually stop at that point because I go to eat dinner. But yeah, I mean that was one of the best. Remember that? I think it was like last year, 2 years ago, for your birthday. I sent you a happy birthday text, all in K show rants, K show drops.
yep.
That was the
Yep.
greatest thing I ever did. I should have saved it, but I didn't
We used
save
to
it.
back and forth with
Yeah,
drops.
our whole Venmo history would be K show drops. Oh man, clown
Um,
shows, man.
yeah. Two clown pirates.
Oh man. So what is because we're gonna wrap up soon. So what is your favorite sports moment? This is a question I ask all my guests. So what
So,
I know it's probably not gonna be your absolute favorite because it's kind of like off the cuff, but at least one of them.
what would you assume mine is?
Um,
I'll
can
leave
you give
it
me a
to.
sport?
I'll leave it to. So there's.
Actually, no, don't give me the sport. Don't give me the sport. Is it like were you there or were you watching?
So I'll leave it. My all-time favorite. I
Yeah,
wasn't for yet, and then I'll tell you one that I was alive for.
you weren't born.
But my all-time favorite, I was definitely not born yet.
I'm not gonna know your all-time favorite unless you say it's like the Bill Buckner play.
No, my all-time favorite is absolutely Do You Believe in Miracles?
Oh yeah, we've talked about this. I should have got that.
Um, it's just one of those things that the game was bigger than the sport kind of thing. The game was bigger than the event. The U.S. and the Soviet Union at the time were hated rivals, like they hated each other. And the Soviet Union being the best hockey team that quite possibly might ever live,
Yeah,
with all their accolades and everything, you couldn't touch that team. And to have the U.S. with a bunch of college and amateur players go on and defeat them and eventually win the gold. The
yeah,
craziest thing about the game, it wasn't even a gold medal game.
yeah. I always like even going back, like I always forget that because it has like such like all the drama behind it and the cinema. You just kind of like forget that it wasn't even the gold medal game.
Yeah, the moment was just and the U.S. played the Soviet Union way earlier. I don't know if it was Olympic qualifiers or
Yeah,
in the before the seeding and stuff like that, but Soviet Union slapped them.
yeah. I've heard stories that like their coach didn't even know like how to coach without a lead, and like that just that just says it
Right,
all right there.
right. He pulled. I'm pretty sure he pulled his starting goalie, who's been the starting goalie for like years. I think after the
Yeah,
first or
he
something
probably
like.
didn't even know like how to do
I think he gave up
it.
or something like that.
It's like those scenes in the movies where they're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. That was probably him. Like, I don't know how to tell you to come out of the game.
And Miracle really, the movie Miracle, shows that the coach towards the end
Yeah,
just had no idea.
yeah. So your other sports moment you were obviously alive for.
Okay. Yep.
I mean, my head first goes to the Saints Super Bowl win,
Okay.
and it goes back to the Piazza home run, kind of for the same logic you chose the miracle game.
Okay.
And then my heart goes to when Tyus Jones hit the shot against Wisconsin and looked at Trey in the stands, and we won the national title. So it's between those three. Anything other than those three, I'm going to call you a fraud, to be
Oh, so
honest.
okay. Um,
So your favorite moment has to be one of those three. I know it. It has to be.
so my favorite moment is none of those.
That's ridiculous.
My favorite moment was watching Gordon Hayward hit the back of the iron, Duke against BYU in the finals. Gordon Hayward missing that shot because the whole game was just back and forth. It was a great college game.
Yeah.
And Zubac making one free throw. So I'm pretty sure Duke was up by 3, and they needed a 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I was pretty close to.
Yeah, it was Duke. Um,
I dropped to the floor when he missed that shot, and I vividly remember that game. I was, oh my god, that was a great game
when that shot went up, I had a heart attack
because it looked good the whole way.
the whole way. I'm like, this shot's going in. They're about to either lose the game or go to overtime. I don't remember, what the score was. I'm pretty sure Zubac needed to hit a free throw, one of two, to be up 3.
Yeah.
Missed the first one and hit the second one.
I mean, we won by 2, so
Oh, so yeah,
they would
so
have
Zubac,
won.
he hit one of 2. So BYU would have won on a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Another one that's up there, um, and these are uh, 2 games that I had no um, I had no team of mine that I was rooting for. Um,
Yeah.
go with the buzzer beater against UNC just because
Well, I
UNC.
mean, we were rooting for Villanova that game.
Oh, so hard, so hard.
Fuck UNC. Fuck Marcus Page too.
Everybody in my house was sleeping before that shot,
Yeah.
and then after that shot, nobody was sleeping in my house.
That. Oh my god! It felt so good to watch them lose like that. To be honest.
Oh yeah, just literally ripping their heart out.
I think
And
that was the same year that we went to the Barclays, the tournament at the Barclays that we talked about earlier.
it could have been. It definitely could have been. But yeah. Luckily, I don't know any. I didn't know anybody well enough at the time who was a UNC fan
I did.
because at that time, if I did, not only would their heart have been ripped out, would have stepped on it, cleaned it off, cooked it, and ate it in front of their face.
Yeah, I knew I have a few friends who are Tar Heel fans, and like I don't remember if I texted them that night because I was like, well, I don't know. Well, one of them is also like the girlfriend of one of my best friends, so I didn't want to piss her off too bad. And then like the other one is my friend Tyler, who you met, who doesn't really like pay attention. So I didn't have like a fan friend who I could just like weigh into.
Yeah.
So I was in the same boat as you.
And like, I'm really not somebody to talk trash about professional and college sports just because literally anything that happens in those games, I have no nothing I do really changes the game,
yeah.
to be honest. So
it's only UNC.
Oh, 100%.
That's it. That's it. Even for me too. Like you could root for whoever you want in any sport. I don't care. If you're for UNC, I just think different of you.
Yeah, like whenever somebody like decides to just talk trash about professional sports, I'll say it. I'll be like, "What did you do that like you're so entitled to be coming at me like this? Like nothing that you did or I did, had an effect on the game. So no, why,
My thing also is like, for professional teams, like there's only so many of them. Like, there's either 30 or 32 in each sport. So like,
right.
But like out of all the colleges you can root for, if you root for UNC, out of all like, I don't even know how many it is, like 500, probably more. Like that just says a whole lot about you that I'm not gonna like.
Right. Yeah. No. And we've said this a bunch about like I'm such a Duke fan that if you come to my house, you can't be doing two things. One, wearing any sort of Jordan product
Yep.
in my house that will be left outside on the front door. And you can't be wearing baby blue.
Yeah. And
do you remember when Kate and I went to we were in a mall and she wanted to get a baby blue sweatshirt.
Yeah, and you said no.
And I told her all the way, no, you can't get it. No, you can't. And then I eventually told you. And I was like, Scott, tell Kate that she cannot get this sweatshirt.
And she didn't get it because she knows what's good for her. She's got to keep the boys happy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I didn't want to end it like that because I don't really know why I didn't want to, but we want to take a shot to end the game and the podcast. I'm going to dedicate this shot like I did on Thursday to David, to Burkowski's grandma, to Tordo's dad, because when you were telling the Saint story, it made me think of the only Tordo story I had was when he was subbing for, I think he was subbing for the Titans, and we were at Eisenhower, and he he didn't know how to get there. And I said, like, we were like at like so and so field, and he's like, I'm literally at all the fields and I don't see you guys. And I'm like, well, I don't know how, I don't know how to communicate this to you because, like, I'm terrible at directions. So I
Right.
give, and this is gonna go full circle because I gave the phone to Kate and I was like, Kate, you got to figure this shit out. I don't know what to do.
You
So
know,
I don't know if Kate and Tordo ever met before that, but she was the reason that Tordo made the third inning of that softball game.
and speaking on all the losses and everything like that, I want to put something into perspective for people,
Yeah, floor is
and then we
yours.
can do the shot. Just because I have this platform, and we're reaching out to our millions and millions of fans, that this pandemic and everything, people need to realize that it's not about me. It's about we.
Hmm.
I know 3 people that have lost their lives. Only one of them was from the pandemic. 2 other people died from cancer.
Hmm.
And those people cannot have a proper funeral or a memorial or anything because of this pandemic. And I implore people, like, listen, you might think you're invisible, you might think that nothing can affect you, but it's not about you. You know, other
Yeah,
people track this virus, and the longer that this goes on, the more people it affects. It's not even just about the virus. It's about everybody out there right now. It's about, you know, our elders, grandparents. It's, we need to keep people safe. We need to stay home. We need to really be smart. Like, we're in New York right now, and the numbers are, thank goodness, are coming down.
yeah,
But for those people that, it's not just about the infected, it's about everybody. I like Kate's cousin is was an incredible human being. If you met him, consider yourself lucky because he was amazing. And then I
yeah,
have a family down in South Carolina. I have a family friend down in South Carolina. Literally one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. The sweetest, most concerned. Like, if anything happened to you, she would like want to be a part of it, kind of thing. And she lost her son to cancer. A former cop, 9/11. Um, he worked 9/11, and the guy can't get a proper funeral,
yeah,
and it's sad. So I want everybody to listen to me when I say that we will get through this, but we need to be smart. If you're going to go out, wear a mask, be 6 feet
hmm,
apart from people. It's unfortunately it's not over, but if we're smart about it, it will end sooner than later.
yeah. One sooner than later. I really do think that we are close to getting back to some version of normal. Um, and yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's devastating. But it's something that we can get through. Just have to be smart. Listen to the people that are smarter than us, like all the scientists and all the doctors. Um, and if you're like it's the same old stuff really, right, folks? It's like if what you're doing, like if you have to think about like what you're doing and if it's like right or wrong, it's probably wrong. It's the
Uh,
same thing here. Like if you're going out and you're like, should I really go out? Like as soon as you say that, like you probably shouldn't. Or like, do I really need to like go to the actual store right now or can I get it delivered? Like just little things like that. Like we know how to get through this. It's just on us to actually execute it at this point. So with that, take our shot. I don't have a shot glass. You came more prepared than I did, or I'm just a savage.
we also talked about this 10 minutes before we went on air. So,
Yeah, but
and you stayed home. You didn't go get a shot glass.
my
That's
shot glasses are in the basement though.
you know what? Let's just end of the bench, baby.
Was that Jameson you did?
No, I did a honey jack.
I think I'm gonna reach out to Jameson and let them know like I'm accepting sponsors. You know, I'd love to be the official podcast of Jameson. Or Jameson can be the official whiskey of the End of the Bench show. I'm sure they'll respond relatively quickly. You know, we have our own email, so we're very important. I'm sure they'll pay attention to us.
Right now, you're a big business, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're something. We have a board of trustees, right?
All right, don't.
Man.
Doesn't know what's going on. I was fired as the president of the board of trustees. Scott is on a very high power trip right now. Okay? Everybody to realize that this business is not a monarchy, Scott. Okay, there are other people that are also doing this with you.
You're right. It's not a monarchy. It's a dictatorship. You're absolutely right. Well, folks, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a monthly supporter. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to Pat as well. And it means a lot to the people at No Kid Hungry. Half of your monthly support goes to their charity. We've raised close to 300 meals, I think the number is, or 500 meals. And we're going to – I have faith that we're going to get to 5,000 meals this year for them. That's like my big-time goal. I think we can get there. The support link is in the podcast description. Like I said, 50% to No Kid Hungry, 50% helps grow the pod, get better equipment so we can be a little more professional. You know, and the Instagram is _end_of-the-bench. Twitter is at the EOTB. Folks, thanks again, and thank you all for listening. And folks, I'll see you in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, man. Group chat. What up?
See you, buddy.
See ya.